Well, today's talk is The Beat Goes On. And I know some of us, the last couple of years, the beat has gone on, but my goodness, we've had to pedal hard on the bicycle of life. But here we are, we're back in our sanctuary, and all is well. Now, I could have played up this title and had a jazzy Sonny and Cher type slide, but I thought, no, I really don't want to go that far today. We're going to have wonderful music, Sonny and Cher singing The Beat Goes On, or Sammy Davis Jr. singing The Rhythm of Life with 1,000 chorus girls. But I don't think I could take it today for some unknown reason. It's one of those days today where there's quietness about it. And when I woke up, it was just pouring down. I don't know what it was like at your place. And it's so good to see you here. Your presence is wonderful, and your presence on Zoom. And good morning to all of you. The rhythm of life. I wonder if anyone observed our first song. There's a line in it. I am the radiant life of God. And it says, even in our first song, I am the rhythm of life. I didn't know that till I started playing it yesterday, just to have a look at the book. There it is. We've been saying it all the time. That's one of my favourite songs, and a few others as well. And the beat does go on. I quote this probably too much. It's Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1. To everything there is a season and a time, to every purpose under heaven. There are cycles of our life, seasons, tides come out day and night. It's a silent beat, but it's there. It's the rhythm, the vibration of life is going on everywhere. Everything has a rhythm. We can call it intelligent rhythm. The rhythm of divine intelligence, our creator. And this creative mind is so awesome that calling it anything else is limiting that power in our minds. We are that power in expression. We are part of the rhythm, connected by the most powerful beat in our lives. Does anyone know what that is, that powerful beat? Good. Fantastic. Our heartbeat. And I'd like to alert you to some of the old Unity literature from time to time. This is a book by James Dillard Freeman. It's called Be. I've read a couple of poems out here for different people that have passed on. And he was the poet laureate, they like to call him, of Unity. And one of his poems is actually on the moon in one of the capsules up there. And he wrote the poem, I think it's called Be. Oh, I Am There. And there's another one which we read out quite often. But on page 31, it's funny, my library angel has been good to me this week. I like to call that when I get my inspiration. Sometimes it just, you open a book and there's something there. I'm going to read the whole poem. I am in God's heart. Sometimes I know that I am in God's heart. Sometimes I feel alone. But when my thoughts and I grow still, I know that I am part of being, and I serve a kindlier rhythm and have a larger purpose than my own. Somehow, I sense through all the mischance of my life's events, the working out of good I never planned. I must be in God's heart, being in his hand. Although I have not seen God face to face, because I know God is, in my heart, I can trust I am his. I am no fragment of existence, set adrift in time and space. I am the heartbeat of eternity. I am caught up into the heart of love because I have a heart of love in me. So there it is. I am the heartbeat of eternity. And of all the poems I opened up to, that was one of the first. We've moved on from the old gender language, as you all know, but I left it in there just to keep the flow of it going. Talk about the heartbeat, which is good because the power of month for April is love, and the body position is in the back of the heart. And we know if we are disturbed or excited by the beat changes. It's terrible how it pounds up and down sometimes. We need to control it. Certain techniques you can use to control it. I feel sorry for those that can't. And there are also breathing techniques. If you're in a panic situation, you just breathe. You think you're going to throw up or something terrible. But funny enough, when this happened to me a couple of years ago, I just kept breathing and I thought, I'm over something here. I was able to handle the next stage where I was at. Now, music can have a powerful effect on our body health. Some music is detrimental to our body, and we need to be discriminating with, and when we listen to it, the tempo, the time, the volume, because this was a sacred subject many eons ago, around Plato and those people's times. They didn't teach everyone everything. Music was a sacred subject because it was a science. Rhythm, we can be controlled by rhythm. And I know that a couple of years back in one of the pubs in the city, there was a band, I won't mention who. The old pubs in those days, about 20, 25 years ago, had a big goldfish tank on the wall with all these goldfish swimming around, and the television, a little one on the other side, pool table there, and people were coming and going. This band hired every Wednesday. The pub was going through a quiet time, but this band managed to get the people in. But the music was so loud, the neighbours were complaining, and the manager went up to the leader of the band and said, "Would you mind turning it down?" Well, I won't tell you what the leader said. So there was rather full tilt for the whole night. Then at the end of the night, when they were packing up, someone noticed that all the fish in the tank had died. The volume of the music, it can affect us. And I think it was General Noriega in South America who was being pursued by the CIA. They knew where he was. He was in this particular bunker and he wouldn't come out. So what did they do? A bit like the Battle of Jericho, the walls came tumbling down. They got these massive rock speakers like they had at festivals, and they played the most vile words and music with that doof, doof, doof. That got him out. I was a bit concerned when I saw Rihanna at some big game she was featured entertainment of. There she is, she's pregnant and she's singing with these massive bands behind her and the crowds and everything. And I thought, my goodness, our endocrine system is so terribly sensitive. That poor child in there is hearing this stuff, whether anyone knows it or not. So I just thought, well, some of this knowledge needs to be known a bit more. There's a time and place for everything, but I would say that I don't think I'd know too many people that would be performing in that condition. But that's just my opinion. Music can put us into a reflective state, or it can make us excited, as we know. It's manipulation. And a lot of the pop stars, including Mick Jagger, told people that, told reporters, they know what they're doing. And we know in advertising, they know what they're doing too. Otherwise, they would be spending a fortune trying to tell us what brand cornflakes to buy. So you see, there's an art and science in everything. And even in poetry, there was a rhythm and a beat. And I used to love, when I was a child, some of the nursery rhymes I remember from grade 1 was beat, and our primary school teacher, she used to say, "Little Miss Muffet sat on her tuffet, eating her curds away. Along came a spider and we all had to clap, sat down beside her and frightened the spider away." Well, that was very cute. But we had one little guy in the class said, "What's her tuffet?" She didn't answer that one. But see, rhythm's been part of us even from primary school and before. We listen to sounds. Some people can hear it some mothers play their children music in the room, and Mozart is one of the best ones to play. I've done some research on this, and Mozart's quite often used in that situation. Others here would know more about that than me. We had a Tai Chi teacher here about 10 years ago, and we had everyone doing Tai Chi. Some of us could, some of us couldn't. And some of the ones that couldn't do it, he said, well, don't worry. If you can't get any of this, one of the best dance movements is the waltz. Is that right, Jeanette? The waltz, the Tai Chi, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And some of you here go to ballroom dancing. And if it was 10 years younger, Jeanette, I'd ask you to give us a demonstration, you two. But some other time, perhaps. But it does keep us fit. And that waltz is a very, very, imagine the Blue Danube, and that I wouldn't mind up at a reasonable level. Music helps aerobics go better too with that beat. But with the beat comes our changing consciousness. So watch whatever words are being sung to that particular track that's being played. One that used to worry me was Bonnie Tyler, and she used to sing "A Total Eclipse of the Heart." Wow, think about that. Who wants to sing that? And there are other things like "You're Breaking My Heart." These are things that are going in when we're in a relaxed state. Well, we're amazing creatures. And I think of the past, how when we were younger, we could get up and drink and be merry and do everything at any time of day or night. Not anymore. Our endocrine system, as I said to you before, is very, very sensitive. And these are what I suppose we call the cosmic interaction centers between body, mind, and spirit. In some circles, they're aligned with, they reckon they're aligned with our chakras, and most of us know what that is. Now, we're custodians of this wonderful power, but it's humbling to realize that we didn't invent it. We are it in demonstration. I know we're born perfect, but we're here to learn how to express it even more so. So the beat goes on, and how we work with the beat, the rhythm of life, can help or hinder us. So here we are, out to Unity of Mind, a new thought center. We can travel the world looking for spiritual enlightenment, not realizing that it's right where we are, right here and now. Yogananda said to his students, "In the body is the secret door of the divine." How's that? The secret doorway to the divine. Our body is the temple of the living God. I used to be intrigued by the sayings of Lao Tzu in his little book, the Tao Te Ching. Very oriental. It's very interesting. With this is another book called The Art of War by some other oriental writer from the past. I just think it's worth reading. Anyway, but in here, now I don't know numerology, but what do you call it? Numerals, XLV11. What's that? What number's that? Pardon? 46. 46. In my little book here, I've had for years. Without stirring abroad, one can know the whole world. Without looking out the window, one can see the way of heaven. The further one goes, the less one knows. Therefore, the sage knows without having to stir, identifies without having to see, and accomplishes without having to act. Well, that's all right if you're a sage. So how do we become a sage? Well, that's what we're here for. Most of us have to go through the prodigal son stage. We do know that story from the Bible where he left his father's house where he had everything. He went out and had a great time, but of course the money ran out and other things ran out, and he was at the end of the line. So what do you do when you're at the end of the line? There's nowhere else to go but inward. And so he was there contemplating his situation, and someone sort of gave him some food, and he just all of a sudden looked up and he realized that he had to go home. In the Bible, it says he went back to his father's house. But we can interpret that way as going back inwards to our divine presence within and listening at last to that wisdom, but acting on the wisdom. That still small voice, however it appears to us. It can be like my library angel when I look for a book. It can be like a song you hear on the radio which has just the message we need. And like I said to some people the other day, there's some big grapefruit, what do you call them? Quinces on top of the tree I couldn't get to. The next day, the whole branch with 6 quinces fell to the ground. Thank you, God. Thank you, nature. It's all around us. And sometimes, I won't say I talk to the animals, but we have birds very early in the morning. And I just say thank you sometimes. And whether it's imagination or not, they seem to stick around. And I'm very, very pleased, except there's one cockatoo that swears. Which does upset the thing. But the cockatoos all come at once. They make a big noise and off they go, like some people do. Okay, now some basics for us practical mystics on the path. Students of ancient wisdom, new thought. Here's Unity's 5 principles. What is good about these is these are condensed ancient wisdom. They're not unique to Unity, but they are vital. God is absolute good everywhere present. Now, quite often we rattle these through and don't give them much thought, but God is everywhere good. We are it. Everyone is. And isn't that a humbling thought? When I first got into new thought, I used to think, good, I'll do this and do that. It's all for me, 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 me. But now, I'm not happy when I see people that aren't as well off, and I look at the world and people, the homeless and people like that. You get to a point where, you have to think about these things and act on them. My nephew was here 5 years ago. He was 28, here for his birthday. And he said, what's this stuff you're into, Bill? I said, it's not stuff. I said, I explained a couple of things to him. And so he said, oh, it's positive thinking. I said, well, yes and no. Because we can be positive about something that is detrimental to us, can't we? There's things that we think, okay, this is what I want. And then you get it and think, oh, how do I get out of this? Anyway, I gave him a book and he hasn't moved any further along from that. My sister hasn't, which is, I'm pleased to say. She understands now where I'm coming from a bit better. And that's made much more interesting talking to her. Human beings have a spark of divinity within them, the Christ within. Their very essence is of God, and therefore we are inherently good. And as I said before, we're born perfect, and we are good, but we keep on expressing more and more and more. Human beings create their experiences by the activity of their thinking. Everything in the manifest realm has its beginning in thought. Now, we can think something, and sure, we can bring it into operation, but we're in a big pea soup of everyone else's thoughts. And there comes a time when we realize, yes, we'll do what we can do, and maybe if that's our destiny, it'll come because we've really promoted it. But sometimes things happen around us. We're in situations, as we've all been through the last couple of years, where we're not in control of some things, but we are in control of our attitude to it. And that's what kept people going. Mandela in jail for goodness knows how many years. It was his attitude that kept him going. Same with Martin Luther King, it was his attitude against all odds. Prayer. Prayer is creative thinking that heightens the connection with God-mind and therefore brings forth wisdom, healing, prosperity, and everything good. Now, isn't that great? We've just been given the keys of the kingdom. But knowing and understanding these laws, also called truth, are not enough. A person must live the truth that they know. So we aim to keep up good thoughts. The more we think, we connect up with others on the planet and give our pristine planet some great healing thoughts and love. And it certainly needs it at this particular time. So it's up to us to keep the high watch for that. If we wonder where to start, I don't panic. I just think, look, the best we can do is the golden rule. That's the best starting point. Nothing else you can do. Start and just treat one another with kindness. And we can use the spiritual teachings to help us keep time. There's another song, which I left till the end. Into each life some rain must fall. We're going to get rain as we get everything else because we're in the dual worlds, here and now. We can't help it, but as we said in the third unity principle, we can control our thoughts about it, our attitude to it. And dear old Ecclesiastes again, there is a time and place for everything under the sun, as we all know as we go through the stages of life. So as we experience different changes in the rhythm, the beat of our life, we know that inner pulse is there waiting for us, that place of peace in the arms of everlasting spirit. We just have to take the time and go to it. Thank you.